Greetings, soccer families. My name is Matt Callahan from the Oshkosh United Soccer Club. I'm here today with an exciting announcement that starting in the spring and summer of 2016, Oshkosh United will be starting a U6 and a U8 recreational soccer program. If you're new to United, United was formed in 1982 to be a competitive soccer club. The name United was selected as United teams were groups of the best soccer players in Oshkosh and the surrounding communities put together in one team. Up until a few years ago, Oshkosh United was just for competitive soccer players between the ages of U11 through U18. We wanted to start reaching the younger ages though, so we started an academy program. An academy is a bridge between a recreational program and a competitive program. Academy programs are run throughout the Fox Valley for U8 and U10 soccer players. There's no tryouts. It's a little bit more of a commitment though, in that there's 2 nights of training and 1 game each week, just as there is in a competitive soccer program. Our academy teams played in a fall league locally in the Fox Valley. In the winter, they have free winter training where they can come and get a little practice if they're interested. If not, no big deal. And then in the spring, we have our academy teams go to tournaments so they can participate in other youth soccer leagues if they choose. What we're going to start in the spring, summer of 2016 is a brand new recreational program in Oshkosh. It's going to start by having U6 and U8 age groups. We'll have an end of the season fun festival, and what we'd like to stress is that Oshkosh United is the only youth soccer club and the only soccer organization in Oshkosh that follows U.S. youth soccer guidelines on player development. These guidelines, they mean a lot to us because they were created to facilitate the best possible experience for youth soccer players. They were created under the premise that kids are not little adults. They do not have the physical, social, and cognitive abilities that adults do, and as a result, they shouldn't be expected to play the adult version of soccer. So, as a result, USU Soccer, they consulted experts in the fields of physical education, sociology, and psychology to figure out exactly what young children were capable of doing, and then they modified the game of soccer to meet the abilities of the players. So this process has been followed by other local clubs, Fond du Lac, Neenah, Appleton. Quite frankly, most of the soccer clubs in the state follow this model of small-sided soccer, which is just the general term used for soccer that follows the USU soccer guidelines. But quite frankly, most soccer clubs throughout the country and soccer clubs all over the world have small-sided soccer programs to increase player development. Now, what does a typical U6 soccer game look like, for example? Well, most people would say it's a beehive. And quite frankly, that's a good thing. There's social reasons as to why players bunch to the ball. They view the ball as a toy. U6 players are egocentric. They mostly think about themselves. They're not thinking about passing the ball. So when you see a U6 soccer game that's a beehive, I always joke with people that that's a good thing. It means that the players are engaged, they're wanting to go to the ball, and they're excited about playing. What's the issue, though, is that if there's too many players on the field, then many or most players don't get to touch the ball. Those games are dictated by the most athletic players, and a lot of the other players end up not having as good of an experience. So best practice for the U6 age level is to play 3 against 3 on a field that's 20 yards wide and 30 yards long. The rosters have between 8 to 10 players, and when they play games, that 8 to 10 players will actually be split up as they'll have 2 games going on side by side. We'll explain that in a little bit. Our U6 program is going to have 1 meeting a week. Players will show up, they'll have 30 minutes of practice, and then 30 minutes of a game. This is what a practice setup will look like. Rather than each team having their own schedule, we'll have a U6 night in which all of the teams show up to the same location and at the same time. The teams will be coached by parent volunteers, which is the standard for a rec soccer program. What we're going to do a little bit differently, though, is we're going to provide all of our parents with the curriculum they'll follow each week. We'll also have staff coaches at the trainings. So each of these fields will have a parent coach, and then we'll have a staff coach by Oshkosh United, someone that has a little bit more experience with soccer, that's had a little bit more training, and that person will be able to wander around to field, getting to know the players and helping out the parent coaches as well. This will help provide consistency for the program. That staff coach can provide some coaching education for the parent coaches, and overall the program will be convenient for parents. All the players will be at the same place at the same time, so carpooling will be a dream. This is what a game setup will look like. Here's our roster of players in the middle, and then they're split between two fields, two 20 by 30 fields, which would be side by side. The players can be subbed off of one field and onto another field at any time. Now this type of a setup gives us a lot of flexibility. The roster has 12 players on it, so even though they're playing 3v3, a team won't have 5 kids, because if you show up to practice with 5 kids and 2 people are sick and you have 3 kids there, well, there's not a whole lot you can do then. Well, with our model, we'll have 12 players on a roster, so that will be ample for practice opportunities. They'll all be at the same location anyway, so even if a team doesn't have a lot of players, then they could always hop in with another practice, because essentially they'll all be doing the same practice plan anyway. So back to the games though, it'll be 3v3. The players that are not playing will be in the middle, and then they can be subbed onto either field. Let's say this player right here is a dominating soccer player. They're incredibly athletic. That's a great thing. Sometimes though what happens then is these players over here don't get to touch the ball very much. Maybe this player over here has a dominating soccer player, and then these players aren't touching the ball much. What the coaches can do is they can kind of work together. They can sub players from one field to another to create the best possible environment. Maybe for a little bit we get these 2 dominating soccer players on the same field, and then that really challenges them to have someone that's equally competitive. On the other hand, if we get the dominating players on one field, then that means on this field these other players can touch the ball more, which is better for their development. And these players can be subbed back and forth at different times to create different environments. It's incredibly flexible at allowing the coaches to create the best possible environment. So what does this lead to? It leads to great things. Less players on the field, simple math, equals more touches on the ball for each player. When the players are touching the ball more, it's more enjoyable for them, and it increases their skill development. Smaller field equals engagement. Players aren't hiding. They're not standing around waiting for the ball to come to them. They're always going to be playing, because on a 20 by 30 field, you're never that far away from the ball. And when those players are engaged and they're running around and they're kicking and they're having fun, that's what it's all about. So having this 3v3 setup will lead to great things for the soccer players. U8 will follow the same concept. U8 plays 4v4 instead of 3v3, and the fields are a little bit larger. Roster will have 10 to 12 players per team rather than at U6, 8 to 10, to accommodate that extra person on the field for each team. At U8, we'll have 2 meetings a week. One practice night, which that will be the same night as the U6 practice game night, and then we'll have 1 game night per week as well. Now this progression continues through. As children grow up and they gain more abilities, then the game changes a little bit as well. So U6 is 3v3, U8 is 4v4, U10 is 6v6, 5 field players and a goalkeeper. So goalkeeping is introduced at U10. At U11, that's when players can join a competitive league, and U11 players can technically play up 2 years. So a U9 player, they could play in the academy. They could also opt to play on a competitive team if they wanted to try out. And U11 is U8, it's 8v8, 7 field players and a goalkeeper. And U13, this is the first year that players by USU Soccer are deemed old enough to actually play full 11v11 soccer on a full-sized soccer field. In terms of where we're going with the rec program, After the first year, we'll reevaluate and we'll look at adding additional rec age groups as the initial players grow older. Registration for this program, we're going to open it up early in the summer of 2015. We want players to be able to sign up, or families to sign up early, and so that way we can figure out how to build the program based upon the numbers that we have. If you go to our website at oshkoshunited.com, we have some different tabs on the top. One of the tabs will be a recreation tab, and if you click on that, there will be a form on the website that you can use to enter your email address, and we can notify you when more information is available. What we'd like you to do is to help spread the word. We are confident that this is going to be an amazing program. Following the guidelines is going to help create a good environment for all ability levels, players of all ability levels. And United is going to be a one-stop shop. Players can come and play recreation soccer. When they get to U7, if they want a little bit more, they could join a U8 academy team or a U10 academy team. And then when they get older yet, if they want to play competitive traveling soccer, they can do that as well. So please help spread the word. Tell your friends about our program, so we can continue to provide an excellent experience for Oshkosh youth soccer players. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. Again, my name is Matt Callahan. Our email address for our rec program will be rec@oshkoshunited.com. And as always, you can check out the website at oshkoshunited.com. Thanks, and I hope to see you in the field soon.